Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat. I'm going to try and keep this intro slightly more brief because it's currently 12:30, as in past midnight, on a Thursday night, because I'm going camping tomorrow and this release, which is on the Sunday, I'm not going to be about for. I'm going to be getting mullered in a field with a couple of friends. So, well, I say couple of friends. Well, it's going to be like 40 or so people. I imagine at least a couple of them probably like me. So, yeah. So if this seems a little bit rushed, it's because it is. But just to clarify, this episode itself isn't rushed at all. It was a great long chat with my buddy Ryan. I've known Ryan since school. He was 2 years below me. I believe we talk about that. I've made a few music videos for some of the projects he's done and whatnot. Back when I used to make music videos a little bit. Just in case you didn't know that, you can go check them out on, I think it's VD music videos. I think it is. I think the videos, it's Ryan Payne, which obviously his name's in the episode art. If I've actually sorted that problem out now. Maybe I haven't. Who knows? It's crazy. Anyway, this episode is about... we talk about tattoos quite a lot because, well, Ryan's got loads of tattoos. I've only got one at the moment, but hopefully I'll be getting like a Star Wars sleeve sort of done more over time. It's just it costs money to do and time to think about and stuff, and I'm much too busy for all that tomfoolery like having money. Haha. No, I definitely would like more money. But... as you may be able to hear as well, I'm a little bit overtired and my brain is kind of only half working, so sorry about that as well. We talk about tattoos, superhero movies a little bit. We talk about piercings, the sort of alternative scene, some of the stigma that goes along with, tattoos and piercings, that sort of thing. We talk about heavy music, different vocal styles, like for people who don't understand the difference between like clean and unclean vocals. It's more prominent in heavy music, unclean vocals, but we get into all of that. We talk about some of the guilty pleasures of music, as well as Ryan being in a band and some of his like stories of when he was in a band, and some of them are pretty damn great and quite funny, as well as just being a teenager and getting into sort of the heavier music, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's basically it for part one, what we talk about. So it's just alternative sort of stuff. The band Ryan's in at the moment is called Scars of Protest. I'll put some links in the description below and whatnot, or if you follow me on any of the social media things, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I believe I'll be posting about them. I think. If I don't, I'm very sorry to everyone. Before the show gets properly started though, and I'll be playing a promo for the Rag Bag podcast. Weirdly enough, it's by a guy whose last name is also Burton. His name is Frank Burton. So his is all about music, so it's quite apt that we actually got into contact just before I sort of was doing this episode. It's quite coincidental. But his promo, it's all about music. So if you enjoy music, you'll like this podcast, I imagine, and you'll like his podcast. So be sure to check him out. He also has the same last name as me, so that may mean something to some people. I don't know. People seem to make big deals about people being from the same place or having the same last names or any of that sort of stuff. So yeah, funny coincidence, getting into contact with a guy who has the same last name as me. His brother actually has the same name as me, weirdly enough. That's why he kind of saw me on all the podcast groups. And this podcast that I happen to release on the same week that he sort of contacts me happens to be music. Anyway, I'm going to stop blathering on as I usually do, even though I said I wouldn't, so I'm sorry guys. And I'll be back at the end.
Ragbag is a fortnightly music podcast presented by me, Frank Burton. I play stuff like this. I mean, is this eclectic enough for you yet? What more do you want? I also tell strange stories and engage in some quality listener interaction, although it has to be said most of my listeners are not the greatest calibre of person. I'm only being honest. I'm just hoping someone intelligent is actually listening to this promo. Please, help me out here guys. Download Ragbag from SoundCloud, iTunes or Stitcher with more information at frankburton.co.uk.
Welcome to Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And I'm your host, Mike Burton. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Genuine Chit-Chat, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. And this week's interesting person is Ryan. Ryan, I've known you gosh, since I think school and that sort of thing, isn't it? Because I think you're the year below me.
2 years below.
Okay, yeah. So you're 2 years younger than me, and we've always. I see you at gigs all the time, and obviously you're in quite a few metal bands that have intermittently played with some of the other friends of mine's bands and things like that. Like you had that gig a while ago with Guilty as Charged, and I think Callum's band were playing the same gig, Placeholder. So it's like...
Oh, that was back when they were Decipher, because we headlined that show. That was before we had our newest vocalist.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
that was September 2016. 2016.
Yeah. So those sorts of things. So that's just like a vague description of how I know you and stuff. It's like I want to get you on here because you're a musician. I do like talking to musicians about being in a band and all that sort of shit. But you're also like very alternative. And as you say that, I see that you've taken your jacket off now, so I can see your menagerie of tattoos, which is much more than mine. Mine's my one, and you've got loads. So I wanted to talk to you about the tattoos. So this is a good little segue. Do you know how many tattoos you have?
I think the last time I counted it was about 22, 21.
And how old are you?
22.
Well, you're doing well.
Yeah.
So what? I can obviously it's an audio podcast, so people can't actually see necessarily what you've got, but I'm intrigued by it. What have you actually got there? Like, what sort of is there? I see both your arms have got quite a lot on. Is there like sleeve ideas, or do you just get loads of random stuff on there, or?
They are just build-up sleeves. Well, I just haven't got the time or money to finish them at the moment, but I'm trying to get there.
Yeah.
So my left arm is all DC villains based.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah.
So I got either portraits of villains or at least symbols of any one particular person.
Yeah.
So like I got the Black Lantern logo or LexCorp for Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Because like I specifically said to the artist, I do not want a bald guy tattooed on me.
Yeah.
And the other arm is Tim Burton's sleeve.
Oh, awesome, man.
But I started off with Sweeney Todd and Edward Scissorhands, and anyone who saw me just kept saying, "Oh, you got a Johnny Depp sleeve." And I thought, no, I'm not a fan. I like Johnny Depp, but not that much.
Yeah, I see.
So I had to get the Horseman from Sleepy Hollow to get
great movie.
Get that out of the way.
So what? Do you have any on your like chest or back or anything like that, or legs?
I've got one on my chest, but it's all black and white. It's an Egyptian piece, but I'm a skinny guy. It fucking hurt.
Yeah, he said his hurt, and Callum's obviously a really skinny guy as well.
Well, so I was just laying down there. The guy tattooing me. I was only on there for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But I mean, I've definitely put on a bit of weight now. But it was just essentially just going straight from skin to bone, and it was just rattling the entire time. And like the more. There was supposed to be bits added to what is on there to go up to my shoulders. Yeah. But because of how bad it was, I just got him to finish off what was there, and I said, "Look, I'm not being funny. It absolutely kills. Yeah. Just leave it as what it is." Right.
Oh god. I'm just going to move subtly on my really loud sofa, but it's failing miserably. There we are. Move the mic closer to me like a professional, so I can get proper comfy. Yeah, with so you got the Tim Burton and the DC villain sleeve. Do you read a lot of the DC comics and that sort of thing, or do you like the TV shows or the movies, or what sort of?
I mean, well, I like all superhero. Well, the films is what got me into it. Then I started venturing into the comics. I definitely prefer DC over Marvel, but on a films basis, obviously Marvel are absolutely slaying it right now.
Marvel's got like 15 or 20 films or something, and
too many, and they're all great at the moment.
Yeah.
But I did start reading the Rebirth comics from DC and the New 52, the most recent ones. I haven't bothered venturing into the old ones. Essentially, that's all backstories, or it's storylines that I probably would have heard of just watching fan theories or anything like that. Yeah. But just the overall sense of just the villains in DC just seems so awesome. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I mean, with the Marvel, with DC and Marvel, I've read very, very little of either of their comics. I know, because I'm a bit of a nerd, and I've played quite a few video games and these sorts of things, and watched a lot of nerdy things, you pick up references and you pick up ideas about Marvel and DC, but obviously the mainstream people know a lot more about Marvel, because apart from like Batman and Superman, people often can't name that many DC characters, myself included. And obviously Batman, because I think the film The Dark Knight is better than anything Marvel's brought out, but it's not. It's like a really dark, gritty, almost realistic movie that has a villain and a hero in it, in air quotes. But Marvel is very much shiny, colourful superhero.
Yeah, the thing with the Dark Knight films is it's. I remember seeing something about it. It's not comic book based; it's just comic book adapted, which is why so many comic book references aren't put in there. It's like the general origin story and the way it's all brought about.
Yeah,
because obviously the original, Batman story is all very mystical.
Yeah,
and it's just some of the villains in it are very far fetched, which you couldn't get away with in a Christopher Nolan Batman film. He tried to get it as real as he could, which is why obviously everything he's got is all sort of all military stuff that got rejected. So that's why he took it that way, and all the villains are to a point possible.
Well, yeah, like Scarecrow is like a pheromone he sprays, and I think you can actually do that to people, like with mushrooms and acid, it's psilocybin, and if you got a powder of that and you basically could spray it at people, I'm sure that it would be possible. You could make people vividly hallucinate. So I think a lot of that, but I like the Nolan verse because I like the gritty realism of it, and I find one of the things the recent DC movies have been kind of doing wrong is they're not gritty and realistic enough like the Dark Knight trilogy, but they're not light-hearted and fun enough like the Marvel films. They just kind of fall in the middle a little bit, and it's like the Marvel films have got a lot of rewatch value and a lot of mainstream appeal for me because they're quite funny, and the characters have all got good chemistry and that sort of thing. And then obviously Dark Knight is just gritty and brutal and realistic. And I just find DC is like you've got all this mystical, crazy, random shit going on, and then everyone's quite dour and there's not that many jokes. At least for Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. Whereas in Justice League they kind of twist it a bit, and I quite enjoyed Justice League. I just felt like it was like the Avengers movies, but not quite as good as any of them, but still good.
Yeah, it was. I say for Justice League, it just felt it was too forced, considering how everything else had been leading up to it.
Yeah,
and then suddenly they're just throwing one-liners every now and then, and it's like, you could have done without that easily.
Yeah, it's a weird one. But with the tattoos as well, what sort of have you got any plans for any of your other sort of tattoos and whatnot?
It's more just getting the arms finished. I've got ideas for my hands, but I need the sleeves finished to go into it because my hands will be linked in with the sleeves as well.
Oh, okay.
It's like my DC sleeve, essentially all the pieces are there. I just need a background for it all.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, everyone keeps saying it's just pieces dotted around at the moment.
Yeah, the filler's quite important for a sleeve.
Yeah, and then I've got like a Joker phrases like dotted around, and the plan was to get his face on as the handpiece.
Oh, what, like as in I assume more like, have you played the Arkham Asylum games?
Yeah,
like that sort of Joker, is that what you mean? The more pointy faced Joker? Or
that's what I kept thinking. It'd be more concept art, sort of video game style rather than comic book style.
That's cool. What about the other hand?
The Tim Burton one is essentially like 3/4 of my arm full at the moment. I need just my forearm done.
Yeah.
And then for the hand, I was going to get in Alice in Wonderland, I was going to get the cat's eyes and mouth with like blacked out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the Cheshire Cat in that movie looks awesome.
But at the moment, it's just a case of funds at the moment. Oh,
yeah, tattoos. A lot of people don't get... well, I say a lot now. I mean, nowadays, I think the statistic is that 1 in 3 people under like 30 have got tattoos now, and I think over time it's almost becoming more of a statement to not have tattoos because people are realising now that just having a bit of your skin coloured in is so not a big deal at all. It's like, because I'm going to get on this arm, obviously I've only got the one. I got the one big tattoo. Like, what's the longest you've been in the chair for like one go?
Well, my Tim Burton pieces, because they're portraits, they take 8-9 hours at a time.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh yeah, they're just. I think the longest one was my Edward Scissorhands on the back of my arm, because the artist also edited one of my other pieces just to make it look more, make it blend in a bit more as a sleeve.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in there for a while. I've never wanted this session to end so much.
Yeah. Well, so I've only got the one tattoo, but it took 7.5 hours, and it's like. Obviously, depending on where it is, depends on how much it hurts and stuff. Obviously, a lot of people say you get close to bone, it hurts more. Some people say less. It's really, I think it's dependent on the person almost. But like, with the tattoo, I was like, the first 4 hours, I was like, this is kind of uncomfortable, but I can deal with it. Then it got to like the 5th hour, and I was like, okay, it's pretty uncomfortable now. And then the last probably 2 hours, maybe hour and a half, oh, it fucking caned. The last like hour was really about half an hour, but he had to keep being like, do you want to stop for a second? So just give me a minute, just to have not like, because your whole arm is pain. It's all basically bleeding now. It's all raw skin, and it's just, they're going over, like, most of it's done, and they're just finishing off either shading or certain parts. And the shading needles are like 5 needles long, and it's just like, just a pain. And you're like, I want this to be over, but I don't, because I want this tattoo to be right. But it kills.
So it was when I had my portraits done, it was whenever the artist turned around and said to me like the last hour, and he said, I'm almost done, I've just got to do this bit. I knew it was going to hurt, because I knew for a fact what he was going to do. There's parts that were already done, and he's just going to go over it and literally just jam into it. And I was like, what did I do? Did I do something to hurt you? Have I not paid you enough?
Where do you get all your tattoos done, in like 1 or 2 places, or?
The comic book arm is done by Daryl in not District, Titanic.
Oh, is that Tego?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know he was a big comic book fan, and I thought he'd probably be the best person to go for. And if he could throw in any ideas as well, I knew he'd be the best person to go to.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
And the Tim Burton portraits, there's a guy called Steve from Lucky Blacks, and he specialises in portraits. And,
okay.
I've not been disappointed with what he's done. Yeah,
I mean, from here, I haven't looked at your tattoos in detail. I might have to take a look at them. Maybe take a couple of photos of them if you're cool with that.
Yeah,
I can always chuck them on when I post this stuff on like Instagram or whatever. Just have a couple of pictures of your tattoos. I'll have to remember that. People, I'm gonna have to now make sure I do that, because I've got it recorded.
Yeah.
Normally, I think I'll get a photo of this, and then I completely forget. But yeah, I mean, I got mine done at Rock and Roll Tattoo. I believe it was Tomek Lappa who did it, I think. But they've got a couple of artists there who are really into Star Wars, and obviously, much like with comic book, it's quite easy to find someone who's quite a lot into it, which is good. But yeah, I'll be getting my sleeve done, probably all there, because like you go somewhere once, and if they do a good job, you're like, well, might as well just keep going there, because there's always that worry that you go somewhere, and I mean, Southampton's got so many tattoo places. I mean, loads of them are great. I've been in quite a few where other people got tattoos done. There's one called Intense Colours down by Bitten Park Triangle.
Oh yeah, my old vocalist goes down there.
Yeah,
she definitely recommends that area.
Yeah, they're really good there, and they've won awards and stuff. So it's like I'd say there's probably about 10 tattoo places in Southampton that are fucking world class. Like, you know, Titanic, I've heard great things about. Rock and Roll, I've obviously been to, and a few people I know have been there as well. I've only heard good things about that.
There's BJ Tattoos in Wolston, where my dad got his tattoos. They're still going.
Yeah, that's where Callum gets his done, I think.
Yeah, he keeps on saying I need to go down there at some point.
Yeah, it's like with tattoos, it's one of those things. Do you get it like I'm sure you do, get a bit of stigma from it? Like, people now, fortunately, we're in the right generation where there's a lot less people giving you shit for it. But do you get like, does any family members or any people who you're close to kind of be like, do you really want to be getting tattoos? You know they're on you forever. Any of that sort of shit, or are you quite?
Not really. My mum and dad are fine with it. They both got tattoos. My mum's started getting more tattoos now that me and my brother are old enough, and we're getting our own tattoos now.
That's awesome.
And but it's more like family, friends. They'll just sort of see us, and then because they haven't seen us in so long, they'll suddenly see me again with either new tattoos or something's changed, and then they'll just start thinking, oh, I remember last time I saw you had nothing, and now look at you, you're ruining your body.
Yeah, you get that. It's like, I always find it funny because whenever people I don't get that much anymore. I have an auntie who I love her to bits, you know, she's awesome, but she's like, just don't get your tattoos. It's like, if anyone wears any clothing that isn't bland black or white, then you're a hypocrite. In my eyes, because it's just the skin is blank canvas, and it's just, you know, obviously because I'm a white guy, it's just white or peach or whatever, it's just blank. It's like, well, if I can still be the same but have art on there, and people go, yeah, but you know that's going to be there forever. It's like, no, it's going to be there till I die, which is like, I'm 24 now. I'm lucky if I'm going to get 60 years. Like, when I'm old enough, because people use that excuse on when you're old, it's not going to look good. It's like, when I'm old, I'm either going to be fine and not care, or I'm going to be so ill I won't care. So, you know, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be thinking, I really shouldn't have got that Star Wars tattoo. I'm going to be thinking, fuck, I didn't travel the world, I didn't do this, I should have been nicer to blank. It's like...
There's, well, yeah, everyone kept saying, it's like when I got Deathstroke on my shoulder, and it's literally just him there with a gun pointing out, and that's the first thing someone said when I went to work was, you're going to regret that when you're older. And I thought, well, I mean, but now I forget I have tattoos. I know they're there.
Yeah. become normal.
This is normal. This is what I look like. I won't just sort of think, oh yeah, I got that done.
When you get a new one, obviously, because when I got my first one, I bet, because you say Deathstroke was your first one.
No, Jack Skellington was the first one, a small little £70 tattoo just to ease my way into it.
I see. But was the Deathstroke your first big proper one?
No, it's the first big piece on my DC sleeve.
Oh, okay.
But the first big tattoo was the portrait, and it was just going in from like hour sessions, 2-hour sessions, and then 8-hour sessions. Not allowed to leave. If you leave before it's done, it's going to look shit.
Yeah. It was like when I got this tattoo done, like before I wasn't quite umming and ahhing, but I wasn't really sure what to get. And then Star Wars kind of called out to me a bit because I like Star Wars more than I like any media or franchise or anything because basically. I think you're aware that my dad died when I was 19, and he got me into Star Wars, and a lot of my memories was watching Star Wars with him, and he'd always, there's a couple of Star Wars games he just bought me because he knew I like Star Wars, and all that. So I've always had that connection with Dad for Star Wars, and he's of the original trilogy generation, and obviously we're of the prequel generation, and this tattoo is Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting, and then Vader at the top, which is a nice combination of it all, and so my tattoo sleeve is like a subtle nod to my dad without being a I love you, miss you, dad sort of tattoo, but it's also something that I really like. And when people see that tattoo, they normally think, oh, that looks great. And then when I say I get a sleeve, 2/3 of the people go, oh, that's awesome. And the other third go, do you really want Star Wars on your skin forever? And it's like, well, people don't get, people who don't have tattoos say this sort of thing, because even if you get something, as long as it's not overtly shit, like if you get, there's certain people get cannabis leaves on them and stuff, and it's their own lives, they can do what they want. But my own opinion is it doesn't matter if you smoke weed or not, or even if you're proud of it. Having a drug that's illegal on your body can only really be bad for you in the future if you're having an issue with a divorce and you're a perfectly cool guy, but if you have a drug on you, they're going to use that against you. Job interviews, all sorts of other things. But it's even then, I don't really care. It's just society's the problem, and I'm just aware of that. It's like face tattoos. But it's the idea of it is, it's the memory that I like. Nothing's ever going to take away how much Star Wars meant to me. Even if I'm 50 and I don't like Star Wars anymore, I'm not going to look at my arm and go, oh man, I really regret getting the Star Wars, because it meant something to me at the time, and it's just one arm of Star Wars. If I was getting my whole body, it'd be a bit different. But I'm sure with you with comic books, I mean, even though we're both quite young, it's people probably well, what if you don't like that shit when you're older? It's well, with you having the Sleepy Hollow tattoo and the Jack Skellington and obviously Deathstroke, it's well, even if you're not into those as much, you at a point in your life you really enjoyed them, and especially with the movies, particularly with Sleepy Hollow, that film is a great movie. You're never going to really hate the movie. You may not be into it as much one day, but you're never going to be like, oh, fuck that movie, it's the worst movie ever, So it's like a memory thing.
I mean, even back when I was a kid, I always used to watch DC films, but not necessarily to the point I do now.
Yeah.
It's they had the old Batman films, Batman and Robin, which...
Oh, yeah.
Most people hate. Okay, I understand. The George Clooney bat nipples, understandable, but that's still one of my favourite films, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, stuff like that, and even the old Tim Burton films. I grew up on Nightmare Before Christmas, and then when obviously he did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I
wasn't a fan of that.
I mean, I'm probably one of the only people that actually generally liked it. Just sit through it and think, it's not too bad. I mean, it could have been worse.
It could have been, yeah. It's not. I think all the bad Tim Burton films are not really shit. I just think it's could have been better. It's always got that potential thing. But I just realised what's quite cool is the whole Batman thing. When you used to watch Batman when you were younger, obviously Tim Burton made. Was it Batman Forever, or was it the first two Batmans? I always forget.
The first two.
Yeah.
Because that's what the guy who tattooed me said, why don't you get a Batman tattoo? And I thought, because I got a DC villain sleeve.
Yeah.
I don't really want to sort of put Batman onto a sleeve just because Tim Burton did it. If anything, I want to avoid that entirely.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing where both your sleeves are kind of interconnected in some way.
Yeah.
Like on my other arm, I haven't got anything yet, and I haven't figured it out. I was thinking I'm going to get everything done on Star Wars. I want to get something to do with Kylo Ren, because I think his mask is savage, and I think he's such a cool character. And even with Last Jedi, I like him even more. But I said this to other people. I was like, I don't want to get a tattoo of Kylo Ren after episode 7 and then him become a complete pussy and I hate him by episode 9. So I'm hoping, so far it's good, fingers crossed, when episode 9 comes out I'll like him, but I want to get a Kylo Ren mask and then hopefully a red lightsaber going up and then maybe Darth Maul's face on the other side or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Because Darth Maul's also in the series of Star Wars as well, and I fucking love him in the series. His character's got so much more depth, it's so cool. But Yes, with all the tattoos and stuff. Obviously, you've got your ears stretched as well. Have you? I swear you've had more piercings, haven't you? Like
I used to have a vertical labyrinth on my lip.
Yeah.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, is just a bar going up through the top of your lip.
Is that very painful?
Yeah, it was horrible. I generally thought I was going to cry when I got that done.
Really?
Because I just sort of got out of it, and then it's painful because you got a little ball which is on top of your lip, and you don't realise how much of an inconvenience it is. Because I kept saying I just want a drink, and then the first thing we got was a can.
Yeah.
And I couldn't drink it normally because the ball was there. I couldn't move my lip because it was swollen.
Yeah.
So I had to sort of open my mouth and just sort of pour it in from a distance, which is horrible. And I think the other piercing I had was I had a scaffolding in my ear.
Yeah.
But I had that back in school, and everyone was in that scene sort of phase where everyone just wanted to hug everybody, and it was it was all love, and then someone would hug me and just literally just graze the ear because it's connecting both parts. I just sort of okay, yep, I'm bleeding, it hurts. I had it for a month, and I just thought, no, I am not doing this again.
Yeah. It's like with for a while I was pretty tempted to get a lip ring or an eyebrow ring or something, and I was really tempted for a while, and then I didn't in the end, and I'm kind of happy I didn't because you get the little holes and stuff, which isn't a big deal, but like where especially I had curly hair, I was brushing my hair, and I'm quite clumsy. I don't necessarily drop stuff and break it that often. It's more I end up banging myself off stuff. Like I walk past things and just bang my elbows or wrists or feet off things, and I'm like, if I catch the eyebrow piercing with a brush, the wrong angle, that just rip like a thing off. And like you see people's ears where they get them stretched way too big, and then they have a blowout, and it's just like because you're obviously very alternative, and your stretches look like what millimeter are they?
They're 14. What they were 22 beforehand, but it just caused so many problems, and I sort of shrunk them down to heal them a bit, and then I can't be asked to go any higher now.
Yeah, well, so I've never had a problem with anyone getting face tattoos, piercings, or anything like that sort of thing. But like when you get the really big ear ones where your ear starts to go sideways because it's so big, and then you get the ones where they're so big the stretch of skin is actually about like a few millimeters in size, and it's like all you need is someone to flick it really hard at the wrong angle and it'll come off. That's when I think it's a bit big, when it actually almost the size of the rest of your ear. Yeah, I like low key stretches though. But I want to add, I've said in another podcast about face tattoos. What's your opinion on face tattoos? I'd be interested to.
It's a weird one. I generally, well, the only tattoos I've seen is obviously you get the tear on your eye, which I think it's got different meanings. The one I've heard is it's about if you've killed someone or you know someone who's died or something like that.
Oh, okay, I'm not sure. You might be right. I honestly have no idea.
Another one is you see a couple of people with writing on their head or somewhere.
Unbreakable.
Yeah, I think the only reason I wouldn't even get my face tattooed. I'd get my head tattooed if I was to go bald again.
Yeah.
But that would be it. Because worst case, if it is something you don't like, grow hair.
Well, yeah, exactly. My thing with face tattoos is I almost feel hypocritical saying it because I like to think myself as quite liberal, and I just think anyone can do whatever they want with their bodies as long as it's not hurting anyone, obviously. But face tattoos I don't mind face piercings to a degree. I don't really like it when people have got like a billion face piercings. That puts me off. When they've got, like 10 mouth piercings, and then like 4 or 5 nose rings, and then cheek dermals and eyebrow. It's like they can do what they want. That's completely their choice. And if I talk to someone who's got that, I won't judge them. But I just don't like that at all. But with a face tattoo, I've been trying to figure out the reason why I have an issue with it to a degree, because like hand tattoos are very visible, but I really, really want to get hand tattoos. Like I'd want to get dot work on my hand tattoos. That'd be my ideal. Obviously, my Star Wars one, I'd maybe get like a dot work Death Star or something. But I'm gonna wait till I can afford it, and later on in my potentially career, because I work in an office and stuff. I don't know how how hand tattoos will affect that. Hopefully, society will become more liberal and people won't care anymore. But
the thing with hand tattoos is, it's not the first thing you notice about someone. It's sort of if you sort of have a conversation with someone, or even if you sort of just glance at them for longer than a second, you sort of notice, oh, they got hand tattoos. But if they've got something on their face, it's like the first thing you see. And I don't know, if it just doesn't look right, then it's horrible. Yeah,
it's inescapable as well. I think that's part of it, because I asked Josh about that, because Josh hasn't got any tattoos, but he's fine with tattoos. But he was like, it's almost literally putting it in someone's face. The face is the one part of your body excluding certain times of certain religions where you basically see someone's face all the time, don't you? Whenever you have a conversation, you see their whole face. Any other part of their body, depending on the weather, can be covered up or anything, but the face is the one thing which you always see. And it seems to me it's weird to get something on your face. I wonder if it's part of my sort of hesitation towards it is when you talk to someone, obviously, you read their facial expressions a lot. You read body language and facial expressions. Well, body language isn't affected by tattoos, but I wonder if having tattoos and writing and stuff on your face maybe makes it harder for your brain to kind of read people's facial expressions or something along those lines.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I wonder if that was it. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same. I'm like, I don't mind. I don't necessarily judge people if they have a couple of face tattoos. I just don't really understand why anyone would get one. And then you get those people who have like their entire face, like in Suicide Squad, Diablo, which personally is my favourite character in that movie. But his whole face tattoo, and it's like of a skull. It's like, why would you ever really want to have that? You know, you get people in gangs that have it, but like, I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's the only. I think I don't know. I wouldn't even call it an acceptable reason. It's the only reason I can see that's half decent to get a face tattoo if it was a gang thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not saying, you know, if there's anyone out there listening to this that in a gang, do not get your face tattooed, but
yeah, people can do what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's I was gonna say I had it and it's completely disappeared into the abyss. But we've been talking about tattoos quite a bit and piercings and stuff. So I'm thinking about it's kind of verge into sort of music a little bit because obviously that's what you're much more. We're both quite passionate about it, but obviously you play music. So you obviously sing, you do clean and unclean vocals, you play guitar. I assume you play bass, or you can play bass.
I can do. I know. Well, I play bass. I'm not good at bass. I've seen some good bass players.
Yeah. Are there any other instruments you can play?
Not particularly. I know like odd little bits on piano, but that's literally just there's a piano, play a little melody, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, what with you. To preface things, because if anyone's listening who isn't into like ridiculously heavy music or anything like that, I want to preface that when I imagine we'll end up saying it in the chat, but like clean and unclean vocals, because like if someone isn't really into heavy music if they call it Screamo because it's like there's so many variations of unclean vocals, it's actually unreal. Like on my phone alone, I could probably show someone 30 bands. And every band would have a different vocalist and sound completely different. You know, a lot of people don't get you've got the lows, which is obviously the proper low pitch growls, which Old Heart of a Coward did quite a bit. You got the mids, and then among the mids, and then you've got the highs. But you've also got ones that are like you got the shouty and goey ones. You get like ones that are a bit more punky, and it's like half sing, half screaming. But then you get the proper like guttural like, sort of ones. It's like all these variety of ones that people they don't give enough credit for. You know, of unclean, especially people who don't like heavy music. So when we say clean and unclean, clean is singing, unclean is harsh vocals, shouting, screaming, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So obviously you do quite a variety there. So what kind of style in music? So from an early age, what sort of stuff did you like? What kind of got you into the alternative scene, and what kind of birthed your playing in music?
Well, my dad he was always been into sort of rock, so I grew up on stuff like Bon Jovi, Whitesnake, Thunder, and then as I got older into secondary school sort of time, my mates started introducing me to new stuff. It started off fairly light, so started off with Foo Fighters, bit of Saliva, Motorhead, and then I knew of Metallica, but I'd never listened to them at this point, and then started getting into them a bit, then gradually got heavier by introduced to Slipknot and Korn, and then going to the mainstream metalcore side, so Avenged, Bullet, Trivium, Killswitch Engage, and then it just spiraled out of control from there, really.
I have something similar to that with because when I first got into music and stuff, I liked Eminem. That was the first artist that I really liked. Loads of their music. I liked bits and pieces of Akon and 50 Cent, but I was never really into them. And then my dad got me into quite a bit of music. He liked Evanescence and Muse. He liked a lot of Peter Gabriel, Genesis, that sort of rock from the 80s and 90s, but he liked a lot of prog rock. He liked Dream Theater and shit like that. And so he used to play classical music in the car, as well as like Dream Theater, as well as like Genesis and all these sorts of variety of rock, but he was never into unclean vocals. But he got me into Muse and Evanescence and stuff. And then I really got into the band The Rasmus, which are the ones that did the, In the Shadows. Everyone knows that song. They've actually got loads of other songs. They've got 2 albums that are legit really, really good. It's quite surprising. But I got into them. And then when I was in school, secondary school, I was playing Guitar Hero a little bit with Kieran and stuff, and he really liked Slipknot, Before I Forget, and I never liked that song, and I was like, this song, and he would always play it at me because he knew it annoyed me a little bit, and also it's a great song to play on Guitar Hero, and he'd always play it, and I'd hate it, and then one day it just kind of clicked, and I was like, sounds pretty good, isn't it? And then my dad bought me, because my dad was so into music, he would buy me, back in the old days where, now it's weird to say even buying CDs anymore, because so many people use Spotify, myself included.
Yeah.
But he bought me a Slipknot CD, Volume 3, which also got Before I Forget, and Duality, and Vermilion and stuff on. And I just, it's weird. I liked music before, even when I really liked the Rasmus, but getting into music that was so different and so raw emotionally completely blew the doors off anything. From almost the month of me liking Slipknot, I ended up liking more music within a year of that than I had my entire 12, 13 years of life. Was that sort of the similar thing for you? Like, because Slipknot was quite a good band for everyone to kind of get into to start music, because they're quite accessible, but they're fucking unbelievably good.
Yeah, I don't know, it was a weird situation, especially bands like Slipknot. But back then I had no real concept on what bands were good. They just generally, I just got thrown names of bands, and then I checked them out, and I thought, yeah, this is alright. Yeah,
before the internet was such a huge thing, everyone knew everything.
Yeah, I was discovering music on YouTube, and I think it was back when Bebo was still a thing, and they had the silly little poll thing saying, what band are you?
Yeah.
And I remember doing one that was a death metal one. I had no idea what death metal was at the time. And then it came up saying, oh, you're Cannibal Corpse. And I thought, who are these? So I checked them out and I thought, fuck, okay, that's death metal.
Yeah. What people don't get is, we were talking about it a little bit before the podcast, but like, what people don't understand about people like you and me and Callum and Reese and whoever who like really heavy music, like, I think deathcore is the heaviest I like, or like really go-y hardcore, where it's basically all unclean vocals, there's the blast beats of drums and the guitar, it's like drums, like someone just shouting over it. It's like, people don't get is when you're 10 or 11, you don't just suddenly, someone shows you Cannibal Corpse and you're like, this is the best thing ever, and immediately you love it. It's a slow progression, I found, with me. Like, was there... Like with me, I think Slipknot was definitely the band that kind of changed the game a bit. But I think Devil Driver was sort of the next really heavy band I got into. And then it slowly kind of went from there, of just widening it. And now it's weird because I used to be quite an elitist with music. I used to like, it was just metal or rock, and that was it. And then a little bit of rap because of Eminem. And then over time, I've been more and more open with music. And we were talking about it when I picked you up earlier. I was saying, like, I'm picking up you and you're in like you're in a pretty go-y metal band, and you've been in quite a few other heavy bands. And it's like the irony of me playing Post Malone that I've only got into the last 2 days. And then you said you like Post Malone as well. And it's like, you wouldn't expect someone who likes a band like Slipknot or Korn or even Chelsea Grin or something really heavy to like the opposite. So what kind of music, what other stuff do you like that's not expected almost? Like, do you have any guilty pleasures?
I keep on saying this to people because I get asked it a fair bit.
Yeah.
I don't believe in guilty pleasures because it just means you're ashamed to admit you like it.
Yeah.
But I don't care what people think I listen to. I listen to anything. I would listen to, at work, the department I work in, I can listen to anything I want. So I'll listen to, a bit of post-rock or grungy sort of stuff like Shinedown, or I'll literally just say, nah, fuck these guys, I'm throwing on some Suicide Silence or Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Or I do like Post Malone, or those days where you've just had too much to drink and I'll throw on some Coldplay and James Blunt and think, this is chilled.
Yeah, that's good.
I used to be really bad with music choices, so you kept thinking, I listen to metal, I can only listen to metal. And I was very impressionable with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But after leaving, as soon as I started the job I do now, working with so many people that prefer everything other than rock and metal, I've sort of had to grow into liking the other stuff again, and then realising how much I actually miss listening to it.
Yeah, definitely. I was in a similar boat. I would do that, and then You know when someone's really into music when they like all kinds of music, because there's so much you can really get your teeth into. You don't. I find that I'm into almost like 2 or 3 bands of every genre. There's very few genres that I'm really not into at all, and it's very rare I even hear music anymore that I absolutely hate. And what you said about the guilty pleasures thing, like, I'm glad you said that, because I've always felt like that as well. Like, I think the worst music I like, air quotes worst, is there's a song, Rihanna. Like, I like a bit of Rihanna. I really like Unfaithful, and I fucking love Umbrella. About a month or 2 ago, I got so into Umbrella, I was listening to it like non-stop for like a week. Just like 1 whole week solid of just Umbrella by Rihanna. I know all the words to it. I don't know the Jay-Z bit though, because I'm a failure. But I was just singing it mad, and it would be like, after that, it was a really heavy album came out of a band I liked, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but I basically was listening to Rihanna, Unfaithful, and Umbrella, and then horrendously strong, unclean vocals. And so I'm glad you say about the guilty pleasure thing, because that's what you should never be ashamed of things you like. Because, unless it's something absolutely horrendous, like I was in hurting someone else in a horrendous way, but like normal terms of things. I mean, there's a few movies that I like that are shit, but I know they're shit. And that's kind of the point. But apart from that, what about I half interrupted you. You had your mouth open and you were about to say something, or you're just opening your mouth randomly.
Just opening my mouth.
Okay. I'm always conscious that I'm interrupting people and talking too much, which normally is the case. But what got you into sort of playing an instrument? What made you pick up a guitar? Is that the first thing you started doing, or were you singing first?
Singing, I think everyone is singing, whether they're good at it or not. I mean, I don't like saying I'm a good singer, but now and then I'll be singing at work, and I think, you know what, I could give every single singer in the world a run for their money right now. But I used to just start off as a kid, just singing around, pissing about, and then someone would turn. I don't know. I get mixed reviews. Some people say, "Hey, you're actually not that bad," but my music teacher from my first secondary school turned around and said, "Yeah, it's just not for you." And then I thought, great, thanks.
It was better than me. Everyone's always told me I'm shit. Like everyone is always, I'm a terrible singer.
But the guitar, my dad, he was in a band when he was younger.
Oh yeah.
But it was just a covers band, and they recorded I don't really know what to call it. It was on a cassette. It was maybe an album on a cassette, just full of covers. It was pretty decent. But he always used to play. Then he used to teach me every now and then. But as soon as he got to secondary school, then it sort of kicked off a bit more. And then just started teaching myself, really, because the schools will only get you so far with teaching instruments. They'll do it I suppose it's the proper way. Well, whereas me, I just wanted to know stuff I knew for a fact I wouldn't be able to do straight away. Yeah. I'd rather just struggle for ages and then just think I could finally do it. So have a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, I think Callum was the same as that as well. He said something similar. When people are really into music as well, you get into, especially when you like a lot of metal bands and stuff, you start getting into that. You want to play what they're playing, and a lot of that stuff is really difficult. So you got into it with secondary school and stuff, and were you in bands in secondary school? I'm trying to remember the timeline.
First band I was in was Neon Genesis.
Oh, with Ryan and Reese.
Oh, yeah, that was.
The look on your face right now.
That was fun.
Yeah,
I remember. Well, we did. I think we played at the school. Yeah, we played at the school once. Did the song "Temptation," which I think was the first time we ever did. They did Screaming, and the looks I got. Oh, it was weird. I straightened my hair. We did some very underage bad drinking. Came to the school slightly hammered, and then played a gig. I'm screaming away, and then the next day, music teacher came up and said, "Were you drunk?" And I thought, I couldn't do that drunk.
Brilliant.
And now I travel most of the country to do it. But that happened. We did a couple of gigs at Jointers, but I had no gear. We literally were doing shows with just absolute shit. I had a 10-watt Marshall amp, which is it's just so small. And anyone who thinks doing a gig with it is cool is like literally just so wrong. It's not a good idea. Then we did that. Feedback Central. We only knew 4 songs. Then we'd get through that, and then they turn around and say, "Yeah, you still got about 15 minutes left." It's like, we'll do it again.
Oh, the good old days of when you were in like a band when you were like really young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got into so obviously Neon Genesis, yeah, that was with Reese, who's also my mate who's been in the podcast. Because obviously he was in Decipher with Callum as well, and he was in, I think he's not in Placeholder now when they changed the name and stuff. He left the band. Not because that's what he sound like. They changed the name, so Reese left.
Yeah.
Reese left, so did George the bassist, and they just want to change their sound a little bit, so they changed their name. But then when did you get into, after that, is that when you kind of got into Infamous Nobody and then Guilty as Charged? Was that the kind of timeline?
Well, after Neon Genesis, Aaron Hutter from school, he recommended me to some guys and said about being a vocalist, and I thought, I'll give it a go. I've been screaming for at least a little while now. I know the logistics of it, I suppose. So I gave that a go and ended up joining a band called This Narwhal is Angry.
This Narwhal is Angry.
Still to this day is probably the reason I am as popular as I am in the music scene.
Really?
They won't remember me for Infamous. They won't remember me for Guilty as Charged or the band I'm in now. They'll just say, "Hey, you're in This Narwhal is Angry," and I'm like, fuck's sake.
Was that the one of those kind of bands like Devil Wears Prada sort of thing, where they like to name every single song something horrendously ridiculous and mad?
It wasn't even that. It was just, I think it was just a couple of mates just getting around and then just pissing around with music. I mean, the first thing they said to me when I said about joining is that, okay, well, the first thing we're going to do is you need to learn Stick Stickly by Attack Attack. And I thought, okay, let's see how this goes. So we're at a band practice in my mate's living room on electric drum kit, only the guitar's plugged in. The keyboard is only grand piano, so even the synthy part is just like the most classical thing I've ever heard. And because there was only one mic, so the singer had a mic, and I had to scream just out open, but I was still louder than everyone else. And I thought, this is awful. I feel like I'm making too much noise. And then I said to him, yeah, you know what, I could probably get us gigs, which I don't know why, because I think our biggest gig was supporting a band, Flood the Sky, when they came back, which is now Our Hollow, Our Home.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This was when they came back, and they had Desolated and Flood the Sky sort of co-headlining.
Yeah.
Doom from Day One supporting, which the vocalist is the bassist of Creeper now.
Oh, really? Wow.
And Cities on Fire, which the vocalist is now in Deference.
Rob Lear.
Yeah.
I was probably gonna give him a shout at some point, see if he wanted to come on here, because I'd be interested to chat to him. That's mad.
Opening that show, there was so many people there, because there was like so many decent local bands.
Yeah.
And us. And yeah, it was chaos. It really was. We still had no gear, so we had a 10-watt Marshall amp again. I think it was about 50-watt amp on the other side of the stage. Bass player was okay. I think it was a female bass player. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but yeah, she was alright. But we had cock-ups throughout the stage. The fog machine at this point had also leaked onto one of the amps, which ended up causing all sorts of chaos. And we got to the last song, and I felt really no one was moving. Everyone was looking. I was thinking, what the fuck are they doing? And I still sort of last song kept thinking, all right, it's time for a wall of death. Let's do this. So I'm asking everyone to move, and everyone's looking at me like, fuck you doing? And I'm like, all right, let's just end this and go home.
Oh man, there have been many times I've gone to local gigs, and you have like a big-ish band playing, and obviously when you get a big-ish band playing that's not that big, then the support act is local, and then the other two support acts are just unknown. And sometimes you get them where they're really trying, and I do feel for them, but you have a support act that's trying to get the crowd going, and the crowd is just not. Yeah. There's just nothing you can really do. It's just like, it's so hard, the crowd control element of things. Like, it's almost like the bigger as a band you get, the easier it becomes, but to become a big band, you almost have to do that. So yeah. It's a real weird paradox. Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's definitely the dark parts of my
musical career.
Yeah. It's just going around every now and then, and I generally think some of the bands I've been in have done better than that. but someone was just scared of, hey, you used to be in this Novel's Anger. I thought, unfortunately, yeah, that was me.
Yep, that was a dark point in my life. So, and then you did Infamous Nobody with a guy, Mike Axton, who I know, and I think I did, because I used to, some people probably don't know this, but I used to make music videos a bit, and I made the music video for you. You had a solo song. Was it called Let Go or something like that?
It's Just Me.
It's Just Me, that was it. Yeah, with Reese Hudson recording that, made that video in your room and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, no, that was my acoustic stuff.
That's what I was...
Oh, you want about that? I thought
Yeah.
you want about Mike's rap stuff then.
Oh, no. There's Mike's rap stuff, which I... Yeah, because that was it, because I've done 3 music videos for you in different bands, because we did Infamous Nobody, and that was Mike Axton and you and the Heavy Band. Obviously, you guys did a bit of the filming for that as well. And then there was your solo stuff, which was the acoustic thing, and then also Mike's rap song, which was probably the best rap song I think I've heard of his, which was the heavier one with you in it as well.
Yeah.
So I think you've been in the majority of the music videos I've made, funnily enough. That's weird to think about. It just kind of clicked. I used to make music videos, obviously, and then so it was Infamous Nobody, which was a lot more heavy and a bit more going. How long were you in that band for? It was about a year or so, wasn't it?
It was 2 years or so, I think.
Yeah.
But that was the reason I grew my hatred for drummers.
Oh, because the drummer was a pain in the ass.
Oh, it's not even just that. I mean, drummers can be a pain in the ass.
Obviously, you don't have to name him, but I don't want. It's probably best if you don't name him.
Oh, no,
I
mean now I am at decent terms with most of those people at the moment. But the situation throughout the times, like the first drummer we had, and stole my girlfriend.
Right.
Second drummer we had, stole my money. And it's like, and then after that, obviously after Infamous, it was guilty as charged, and then it's just drummers can be a pain in the ass. They really can.
I've heard that my brother Rob, he's in a few bands. In fact, he played that gig we were at the other day at the Talking Heads, where you'll see the other day. How long ago was this? No, it was you when you were there, but you weren't playing. When Callum's band was playing.
Oh yeah.
I think Deference were playing as well, actually.
Yeah.
It was the Teddy Rock's fundraiser one. My brother's band was that first band on. Bring the Revolution. My brother's was the singer with a really high pitched voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's talent in my family. My dad was also in a band and played a lot of music and stuff like that. Whereas I'm fucking used to, I could just talk. I can talk into a mic and do really bad white boy rapping, but I can't sing. But yeah, he. I was just saying, I lost my train of thought, which is absolutely atrocious for me. But yeah, with guilty as charged and stuff, and drummers. My brother was saying that like he's had loads of issues with drummers in the past, and he's just like he says that all drummers are just completely insane, but they're insane in different ways. He's had one which is like really OCD about stuff. He's others which are just terrible with money. Others are just either really late all the time or just don't show up to band practice sometimes. And it's like if you don't have a bassist show up or you don't have a member show up, you maybe be able to wing it a bit. But if you don't have a drummer, it's a bit like, it needs the beat going. And so he's said that. And Callum, with drumming as well, it's so hard to find another drummer, because when you want to pick up an instrument, the drumming is the most expensive thing to pick up. With a guitar, you could pick up, to learn to play guitar, you could pick up a crappy acoustic guitar for barely any money at all, just to learn the ropes. But even if you want a really crappy drum kit, it still costs a couple of $100 just to get something shit. So yeah, drummers I've heard are a bit of a nightmare.
But even if you wanted a good drummer, they're probably already in a band.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of that because there's such in high demand.
Mm.
And then so you're in Guilty as Charged. How long were you in that for? Because that was more. Because with Infamous Nobody, that was like Mike did a lot of the vocals and writing for that. But was Guilty as Charged your first big? Excuse me. But every podcast I do a burp. I'm sorry, guys, who's listening. Was Guilty as Charged your first sort of band that you were at the helm, sort of thing?
Yeah, Infamous Nobody, after about a year of doing practicing and gigs and stuff, I think it was sort of joint between me and Mike, because we ended up being the only two originals left. And then me and him both did all the songwriting. We did all the organising. If it was practice, we'd sort it out.
Okay, cool.
But we ended up living together. And, but yeah, it was. It definitely sort of opened the door a bit. And then with Guilty as Charged, I sort of spent. I think I had about a 2-year gap with bands, which any musician that has been in bands and wants to get back on stage is a horrible long time. And then I ended up, well, to be fair, I ended up just writing the music for it. And then I kept saying I did want a band, and then just happened to bump into someone and say, yeah, I've just recorded all this. And then suddenly it was kickstarting. We were practicing, ended up getting gigs. And then it was the first time I took it serious, because I managed to get back. I didn't want to just play the same city over and over again. Whereas Infamous Nobody, we played Southampton so many times within a year.
Yeah.
And then I think the only other two places we went were Winchester, which no one's there, or Isle of Wight, which, unless the headline band is half decent, there's just no one there.
Yeah. Especially Isle of Wight is quite isolated and stuff. So you took with the obviously the 2-year gap, because being like a musician, it's one of those. Whenever I talk to people who have their own passions, like I had a friend of mine, Steph, who's a YouTuber and stuff. What people don't get is how much legwork there is for the thing that everyone sees. So with this podcast, for example, obviously what people are going to be hearing is this conversation, which is great, and this is the fun part that I enjoy the most. And releasing it and getting good feedback I really like as well. But the part that's the least enjoyable, but like as important, is the parts that not everyone sees, where I'm editing it, I'm putting it together, I'm releasing it on all the right sites and all that sort of crap. And then with music, it's a lot of the time I've heard that writing music is really good if something almost calls to you and you've got good stuff going. But if you're in a band, sometimes it can be really frustrating, because either you've got this idea and someone else is clashing, or you need to release just one last song to finish the EP, and for some reason this last song just isn't clicking right and stuff. So like, what's your thoughts on that sort of thing? Like, what's your favourite parts of it and songwriting and all that sort of jazz?
My favourite part is probably...
And that's the end of part 1. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Part 2 will be released next week, the same sort of time, on a Sunday, as I try and always release these episodes semi-consistently. I've put the links to Ryan's band down below, Scars of Protest. Be sure to check them out. They're on Spotify. The newest release, Celestial, is really good. And in part 2, we continue our chat. We talk about band Hacktivist, the difficulty of being in a band. About Ryan's actually really humble when it comes to this sort of thing, which I don't know if you could tell in the first part of it, but it comes out a lot more in the second part as well. We both talk about kind of our fluking our way through the passions and things like that, which is it's a great laugh for that part, as well as writing music, as well as like plagiarism, because Ryan in his old band actually released a song that is very similar to a song by the band called Amity, the Amity Affliction, and he talks about that really honestly and openly. He's like, he didn't mean to essentially copy a song, he just kind of wrote it, they released it, did all the stuff for it, and then loads of people were like, you do realise this song sounds just like this other song. And he talks about all that sort of thing in like a really honest way, so that's really cool to hear. We also then talk about the state of modern music, including things like Drake and a bit more about Post Malone. We go on to music streaming and Spotify, and whether or not Spotify is like a good thing or a bad thing, or we're not really sure, and that me and Ryan used to still buy CDs till only recently, I think, getting Spotify and stuff. So it's a great chat next week. If you enjoyed this chat as well, I'd really recommend going back and listening to the chat with Callum of Decipher / Placeholder. They're called Placeholder now, but they were called Decipher when I was doing the podcast, all that sort of thing. I think that's episode like 5 or 6. So if you're interested in sort of musicians talking about writing music and their sort of inspiration, that sort of thing, or you just want to get into some new cool music, check out Placeholder. Obviously check out Scars of Protest, listen to that old podcast, and be sure to check out part 2. As always, guys, thanks for listening. I really appreciate anyone listening, especially to the end. If you feel like it, you can review us on iTunes, and you can like us on all the usual social media places and subscribe and all that sort of jazz. I also realised that it was either in this podcast or maybe the next one that I mentioned Post Malone's album, and I think I call it Beer Bongs and Biltongs, because I'm a moron when it's meant to be beer bongs and Bentleys. But yeah, I'm a failure in more ways than one. Anyway, guys, talk to you next week.